Look at my cat is amazing, give it a lick. Hey there, this is your pal Pallie, and welcome back to Overrated. This is episode number 7 of Overrated, and this is another deep dive. We're going to be talking about Norushen Heroic and my Pallie healing. But first up, some cool news with Warlords of Draenor that's been out in the past week or so. Beta is soon. Blizzard soon. So I'm going to be trying to get in. If anyone's watching this who has connections, hey, get me in. I'm going to try to get in. I'm going to try to produce as much content as I possibly can, show everything that I can get my hands on in there. It's really exciting for me. I really like doing that kind of stuff. So you'll see garrisons and leveling, and yeah, I'll do some PvP because there's a new PvP zone. Just all that kind of stuff. So be prepared for that. As soon as beta drops, as soon as I get in, you'll see a bunch more stuff from me. Still going to be doing the guides, still going to be doing this show, but lots more coming. So let's get into it today. So we're going to be talking about Norushen Heroic. This is my guild, my Holy Paladin's first kill of this on there. They barely beat the enrage timer, 11 seconds, but that's typical for most kills of Norushen Heroic. This isn't going to be a raid guide. There's raid guides I've got for this on showing my hunter's perspective, but here's the healing perspective for this. A lot of pushing the heals and a lot of personal solo healing in this, or at least a little bit. There's a couple phases to it. So again, I'm healing with a Resto Druid who always kicks my ass. Good job, Oreo. But you'll see some parts, like the first part I'll mention. We send him in, I'll get to the video in a second, but we send him in to do his test first, the Druid, Resto Druid. So I'm out here solo healing for a good bit of time while he's doing his test. Likewise, when I'm doing my test, he's solo healing at that point. So a lot of fun stuff happens at first, so I just want to preface that because I'm going to go really fast because this video will do so. So here we go. Norushen Heroic. I am doing what I usually like to do to start, which is blanketing the raid with some shields and whatnot, getting some Eternal Flames up on the tanks by casting on the beacon target itself. Here's some Eternal Flames rolling out. I'm going to roll one on the other tank now. Bam, here comes the start of the fight. I'm using Holy Prism again for the burst healing, being able to get people up really quickly again. So that's all fun and happy. I'll get to the Synapse Strings in a second. I had some suggestions. I failed to do so. Sorry. Yes, I'm terrible at that one again. But this first phase, again, I'm solo healing. So I'm trying to keep the raid a lot of shields up. And the first ad is out now, so there's a lot of extra raid damage. This is when I start popping cooldowns. So you see I've hit Holy Avenger, all that jazz. I meant to also hit Avenging Wrath, but I didn't. But again, a lot going out, a lot of raid damage with the ad up, and actually 2 ads up because we have 2 DPS going at the start on our strategy here. So a lot of stuff happening. But already my nice Resto Druid friend is back out, and he sometimes was popping Trank at that point to get people back up really quickly, but I don't know if he did it in that case. I didn't see real quick there, but you can take a look. But anywho, now we're sort of stabilized. We got the 2 healers going, and the rest of the fight is all about this. But this is kind of a hard part too. You see people are dipping pretty low. Why is that? Well, the boss has quite a few stacks of Unleash Corruption on them. That's what the little ads, when they shoot out at the boss, if they actually get the shot towards the boss, he gains a stack, and it's like 10% more damage per stack. Really freaking hurts on Heroic. Blind Hatred just went out. That's one thing that we have to pay attention to because it makes people move. I would try to save something or other for that, some sort of CD or something, so that I had a bit of, maybe had 5 holy power banked, so if I needed to move to another section, I could. Strategy-wise, we really tried to keep everyone grouped on a raid marker, as you see, so we've been at blue for a while. It's kind of boring in that sense, but we're all around blue. And we kind of keep people in that area so that it's easy to raid heal. Like, Druid is just kicking the ass here by having his little green happy circle there, and that's just typical. That's just what happens. So off I go to my test. Yay, time to get some better healing here. The test, I found out some really nice things in this. I'm using Holy Prism again. I try to use that on the ad itself, and you can see it bursts the other guys up pretty quickly. I also try to roll Eternal Flames on them. You'll see the bottom guy, I don't know who, I can't read the names from here, but anyway, the bottom guy's got the beacon and my Eternal Flame, and I'm trying to get Eternal Flames rolling on all three of them. If you don't know, the higher their health is, the more damage they do to the ad itself. So get them topped off if you can, even if you need to. I mean, Lay on Hands is a kind of major cooldown, but you could use that to burst someone up real quick and then be back at it. So I'm back out for my test. Yeehaw, people are low because, again, Druid was solo healing for a little while and didn't have my help. So now we're all stabilized. This should be a fairly easy section of the fight because both of the healers now are buffed up in terms of doing more healing because the corruption's gone. And, we should be pretty decent on mana, and people are doing tests, but it's, one more DPS is in there. Here's another ad. You'll see this kind of a cycle of people are getting hammered a little bit when the ad is out, when there's little ads out, buffing the boss, and then it goes back to sort of okay, we're stabilized, we're just conserving mana, etc., etc. I am casting a ton of Holy Radiance. This is just built for this fight. It's just like, here, Holy Radiance. Everyone's surrounded. Light it on. Same thing. Everyone is right here. Just use it. Just be happy with it because, yeah, it's a lot of fun. And, of course, I'm trying to make sure my mana doesn't get too low. 5 people are out from their test, or everyone's out from their test now. Time for Lust. Time to get down to it. So, more ads are going to be coming out. That's when you're going to really have to rotate through the CDs. It is totally the time for all those kind of CDs. And here's a critical part. We got Blind Hatred comes out, and we got lucky. It went the other direction, so we didn't have to move. So like, woohoo, yeah, don't have to use raid CDs. Don't have to mess with any of that. I've got most of my raid CDs up for later, and you'll see I'll start using them. I'm kind of low on mana. I don't know why I was really pushing it hard. I was maybe making sure that people weren't low, and I'm getting really low here. But I will have Divine Plea up in a little bit. And to compensate, I did use my Holy Avenger and whatnot CDs. So those are out. Getting people blanketed with Eternal Flames, at least the tanks and myself. And likewise spending the mana on Lighted Dawns and Holy Radiances. Used Divine Plea there. It's about to expire as well. Got myself back up into a decent set of mana there. About half. Should be enough to get me through the rest. We'll see. But here's another Blind Hatred where we have to move. So this is one where we're popping raid CDs. Here I use Devotion Aura so that we can get back in place. The Druids, obviously having no problems casting on running, but I really have to plan for that kind of thing because if I don't, I'm going to, be just being able to cast like a Holy Shock and that's it. So watch for that. And so Blind Hatreds are like a thing to watch out for. Likewise, throughout this whole fight, it's magical damage. Friggin' magical damage. So using your Divine Protection as a Paladin, it's just smart. You just have to use it. It's like, there I did again. I'll be digging into the logs here in a minute, but hopefully as a Paladin, any Paladin, you're using Divine Protection on cooldown, and depending on what talents you chose, I think I should have been a little bit smarter and chosen the talent that lowers the CD on it, but you should just do it because 40% damage reduction on magic. It's all magic. Do it. No problems there. Getting to the end, low on mana. I used my bubble just to, make me not a focus of heals and whatnot, make sure I'm all good and happy. And we're getting down to the end of it. I am really freaking low on mana, but the boss is about to die. Yay, alright. We're good to go. Some terrible loot, I have to say. Got a cloak, a heroic, Warforged, decent piece, but the cloak, a heroic... Oh, come on. Who is doing a heroic boss now that doesn't have their legendary, or at least has the 600 one from the last... I don't know. That's another topic for overrated at some point, probably. Anywho, that's first run through. Maybe we'll do another one. I don't know. There's not too much more valuable stuff to look at, but there's the first run through of Norushen Heroic Healing as a Holy Paladin. Again, talent-wise, I was choosing Holy Prism. I had Holy Avenger for that burstable, fun stuff with Divine Favor. And, Holy Radiance is a lot. Divine Lights on tanks if I need to get some Holy Power, but probably not. Just Holy Radiance, Holy Radiance, Holy Radiance, Holy Shock, Light of Dawn, just like rotating through a whole thing. What's really tricky is if someone accidentally gets you out of that routine, and if someone takes some damage to like an ad or something, the tanks don't pick up an ad, then it's really sketchy because you sort of have to quickly switch over. Oh, I'm going to give them a Word of Glory, Eternal Flame real quick. Well, that just threw off me Light of Dawning everyone, and therefore they don't have that burst of healing and that thing all over the place. It's big AoE fight. So if something gets you out of that mode, it's really bad. So let's take a look at the logs. See how I did. I know I lost. I know I lost to the Druid. He's just too good. Just too good. So there's Oreo. Yay, you win. Efflorescence, you kicked my ass. But no, it's really a good fight for him. Really a good fight in general for just, we're standing here, there's ticking damage, you tick it up with hots. Psh, yeah, this is good. Disc Priest will do well. Paladins, have the hots with Eternal Flame and whatnot, and, even, it's even worse when you look at it because his active time was 86%, because here's this section where I went into my test and therefore I wasn't recording any of his heals, where it's just me, and I still lost by quite a bit. But whatever, he's a good healer, and he went into the test first, so not many excuses. No, you're good, man. You're good. So let's dig into what I actually did. So, clicking on myself, see what casts I was doing, healing by spell, all that fun jazz. Illuminated healing, mastery's good. Yeah, there's a ton of shields on this, a ton of shields from my mastery. It's ridiculous. And, even better is this, it may not pay too much attention to this. I haven't talked too much about deep diving of a healing spec, but overheals is sort of one thing that you want to look at. If someone's like, yeah, I can do 400k heals per second, but 85% of it is an overheal, then it's like, come on, dude, you're just casting as much as you possibly can and not, being effective in your heals. So, overhealing is one thing to pay attention to, and some shields like Disc Priest shields and Illuminated Healing for Paladin usually is going to end up being very low on an overheal because it's going to be used up first before any other heals get through. So, Holy Radiance, like I said, that's a lot of what I was popping, a lot of the stuff that I was using, so it's no surprise that was top up there. And you read this, if you haven't read too much of charts yet on World of Logs yet, the average Holy Radiance hit, I hit someone for 30k. And it's not that I cast it 287 times, because Holy Radiance is something that hits a target and then all allies within 10 yards get 50% of that amount, which is a lot. The effectiveness diminishes for players beyond 6, but still, that's a lot of healing. And one thing that I know I'm not good at yet, having, reminded me about the definition of Holy Radiance, or what exactly it does, is realize that the target of your Holy Radiance is getting the full hit of it. So maybe it's probably not this 30k, because this is averaging like all of the hits of Holy Radiance, but maybe it's that 60k number over here with direct heals. Not sure the mechanics of all of this stuff, but you kind of want to make sure that you're casting Holy Radiance on someone who is lower than everyone else. It's great that you're AoE healing, but if you're casting it on someone who is close to full health, it's probably, you're going to be effective and you're going to have, the bounces go to the people who are low, but you probably want to try to target Holy Radiance to someone who is indeed lower than everyone else. And that's the kind of trick, that's the kind of like playing, what's the game, Whack-A-Mole, with your healing meters or with your healing frames. You kind of want to be able to hit that person who's low and then bounce to someone else who's also low and go around like that. Because not only are you giving them, a bit more heals, but you're going to be giving them a bigger shield based on your mastery, for paladins at least. So, therefore, that person who was low gets up higher, and they have a bigger shield, so you probably want to move to someone else for your next Holy Radiance cast. If you're rotating through it like on a hard, you're going, if that's all you're doing, which in this fight is a lot of that. So, moving on, little Eternal Flames. Again, I was trying to roll those as much as I could on tanks, so I had an actual pretty decent uptime on having an Eternal Flame out on someone. So that's pretty cool to see. I'm actually surprised that I had that uptime on that. But really good to have that on people are consistently going to be taking damage. So that's the tanks. That's the active tank would be best. The ticks of it would be going to the beacon target, which again should be a tank. So pretty cool. Pretty neat. Light of Dawn, again, we're all stacked up together and happy Skippy, so perfect use of Light of Dawn. There is a glyph for it that reduces the amount of targets it hits, but increases the amount that it heals for. I haven't played with whether that would be a good or bad thing. We'll see. But, anywho, a lot of Light of Dawn heals for a pretty decent amount, especially like a crit like this. 100k, that's like, 1/6 or 1/7 of someone's health, and who's, working on heroics. That should be about 600, 700k health, something like that. So that's a pretty good chunk. Like I said, using Holy Prism, and here's one of those things where you would want to take this number, and actually this number too, and add them up together, which actually reaches 81, sorry. I should have just looked at the 81 number first. But anywho, take that number and take the length of the fight, which is 6 minutes and 49 seconds, and divide that 6 minutes 40 seconds by the number of times you actually use that thing. So Holy Prism is on a 20-second cooldown. And you would want to, this goes back to that tanking discussion that we talked about last week, or a couple weeks ago. You can take that and go, hey, it's a 20-second cooldown. Did you use it as much as you possibly could over the course of a fight? So, quick mental math, sorry, but 6 minutes, should be using it 3 times a minute, to 18, 19, 20 times is at least what I should have it as. And actually, sorry, but this is probably a bad example, but anyway, Holy Prism actually hits more people than this 81 count is probably not exactly right, because, well, it's not. 81 constitutes how many times it went out healing. So Holy Prism, if you target an enemy, they take a little bit of damage, which is negligible, but whatever, it's fun happiness. And then 5 nearby allies take healing. So, using the Prism, divide that 81 by 5. So that would be, how many times did I use it? So that would be 16-ish times that I used it. Probably, it's not dividing exactly evenly because I used it at least once during my test phase. So I used it 16 times. I should have been using it upwards of 20 sometimes. So just interesting stuff like that. Or 20, yeah, about 20 times is what I should have had it if I was using it perfectly off cooldown. So pretty good result for me. And that's one of those things that you can do. You have to sort of, if you know the spells and you know that, you sort of have to dig deeper into that, and just being able to like snap judge and say, hey, they only used it 5 times, or the logs are showing this. You really have to make sure you understand it, because as you saw from me going through this little exercise, I realized, well, 81 can't possibly be the amount that I used it across the whole fight, because that would be way too short of a cooldown. But working it out and going, oh, hey, it actually hits 5 allies. Oh, okay, that means I did the math, blah. So here's an example of how to dig into that kind of stuff. So cool. Beacon of Light. The only thing I want to mention real quick about Beacon of Light is usually a lot of its heals are overheals, and sure enough, 53% is overheal. Just because you're bombing heals on someone else who's low, the tank who you have the beacon on is not low, the resulting is an overheal. Anyway, again, Holy Shock is one of those. Here's one that it's a, depending on your cooldown, haste, all that other jazz. Holy Shock is something you should be using on cooldown, so you can take this 50 number and do the math again. I'm not going to go through all of that. That'll get boring real quick, but anywho, you also should be able to see, other major spells. So, for example, you don't see Holy Light at all here for me, mainly because I'm trying to just AoE heal like mad. And Divine Lights, I end up using that 11 times. Some of that's on the tanks when I was building up their shields, or if I feel like the raid is not taking much damage, I'm using a Divine Light to actually get some holy power off of the beacon target, usually a tank. So it's not a waste. These days with the amount of mana we seem to have, it doesn't seem to be that big of a waste to do this, because you end up with a holy power and you end up giving the tank a decent shield off of this, because some of my Divine Lights crit for, well, average crits of 200k it looks like, or so. So a 200k crit with mastery around maybe, let's say 50%, you just gave the tank 150k shield. That's pretty good. Not a waste of a cast. Plus you got the holy power. So again, you shouldn't see this a ton, in other fights that are not AoE, but just thought there's a little tidbit too. Alright, so that's it for the healing done and all that other stuff. But real quick, remember I talked about using Divine Protection? Was I good at it? No. That was terrible. I used it 4 times. 4 times. Really? 1 minute cooldown. It's a 6-7, close to 7 minute fight. Should have at least been used 6 times, but I used it 4. Bad Pallie. Bad Pallie. Should have used it a lot more. Again, Synapse Springs. As I said, someone in a comment on the Thok video where I was healing said, "Hey, you should just macro that into like Holy Shock or something." Yeah, I really should. And if I do another one on my Paladin where I'm showing off healing, if I don't have it, then you guys can rip the crap out of me in comments, because I really should have that macroed in. It's a nice bit of extra intellect to increase my heals for a little bit. So, yeah, sorry about that. Sorry guys. Anywho, that's about it for taking a look at all of the healing meters and all that other fun stuff. I got you guys cats this time, yet again, with the intro. That was kind of a throwback to where I got my start, or at least my inspiration to start, which was Devil Lore from TankSpot, who now works for Blizzard. So, Lore, if you see this, that was a tribute to you, because you did that in one of your intros to Weekly Marmot. I think I'm going to try doing something funny like that at the beginning of everything, or something just to mix it up. Try adding that. I know, Agathon does it in his rage bars, and Olivia does it, and a lot of people do that sort of like opening cool thing that happens, and sure, why not? Let me try it. See what you guys think. If you like me licking the cat and any of the other content in the video, you're going to like it. You got to like it for the licking of the cat. I licked a cat. Seriously. Like the video, subscribe, comment. Comment on any of the fun stuff you saw, healing-wise, and all that other jazz. So, next week, maybe I will be doing a show with someone. I don't know. Thinking about it. But at the very least, maybe we'll have some more news on Warlords of Draenor Beta, and maybe I'll be happy about that. Because I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited. I really want to get in there, try some of the cool stuff that's coming out, put out lots of videos, all other jazz. For raid guides, I'm trying to... my hunters group is now it's on its third tank in like 4 weeks or something. Trying to get progression back going so I can get you guys videos. This next raid week, in fact, this video will probably be out when those buffs or those nerfs are already live. But this week they're nerfing some of the heroic encounters on 10-man, which is really good for me. If we can get Malkorak and Spoils, which we're kind of close on both, or at least we're really close on Spoils. Malkorak, need a raid night. But anywho, if I can get there, Thok has been nerfed this next raid lockout, and Siegecrafter and Paragon. So maybe I'll have quite a few coming out, in a succession here. I hope. Hope so. Let's do good, guys. Yay, team. Score a goal unit. Basket. Anywho. I'm rambling now, so this means it's about time to get closed with this. It's been Overrated number 7 with your pal Pallie, and I licked a cat, and it didn't taste good. Thanks, guys. See you next week. Have a good one.